Hi there. This is a bit of a different video for me. I have, especially last Christmas around this time, the holiday season, when I, like so many other people, had to look back at some really happy Christmases that I don't have anymore. Having no family, at least no family that are around here. And anyway, it's very hard when you have depression. People stigmatize mental illness, and even in some cases, some people still think it's funny. And I'm one of them. I'm not anymore, but I was. I I was like the same way. I see somebody crazy in the bus, and I'd be like, you see a lot of crazy people in the bus. But I've read a statistic, a rather scary one, that I believe it's by 2020, depression is supposed to be one of the leading causes of death in this country. Well, I suspect that it's not just going to be depression, but I suspect that mental illness in general is going to continue to be a serious problem. And you don't see people. Actually, they had an Alzheimer's walk here in Seattle a short while ago. Give them credit for that. That's really good, and that's a sign of progress, because these horrible illnesses that older people get, we're all going to face the possibility of that happening to us. But this particular video isn't about depression, and it's not about Alzheimer's. It's about understanding the perspective of the person who's afflicted. I came across a video today, and at first, I had my normal knee-jerk reaction to it, like, oh my God, this woman is batshit crazy. And it was so over-the-top nuts that I was laughing. I mean, it's like amazing that this person could be this nuts. But then the awareness kicked in on me, because my mom, before she was finally diagnosed with what she has, which is paranoid schizophrenia, was wacko and very abusive to me. I mean, she's always been, but she was incredibly nice, or she was very abusive, and I didn't know why. And when I found out that my mom had paranoid schizophrenia, and I was actually able to sit there and watch this disease destroy her, it destroyed her. My mom went her whole life being able to hide this illness, and she ended up in her early 80s having cancer and a surgery and chemo. And the chemo unraveled whatever little thing that she had in her brain that was allowing her to hide this illness. She confided to a friend that she had voices all her life. Well, I got to sit back, and I didn't really sit back. I was unfortunately the happy passenger dragged along on her journey. I got to watch this. I got to watch her confusion and her fear. She thought people were trying to kill her. She thought, she was afraid to open her door. I didn't see it, but when she was still living in her apartment, her manager told me that he saw her running across the parking lot. My mom is in her 80s. Imagine seeing an 80-year-old, or she's probably like 82 at the time, running across the parking lot. To her credit, she was in aerobics all the way up into her 80s, because she didn't want to have the same medical problems that her mom had. And she wanted to stay fit. She didn't want to be in a walker or a wheelchair when she hit her 80s. But the sad thing for my mom is the mental illness, it's an illness. I can't even stress it enough how much this is an illness. Schizophrenia is an illness. It's like your brain is wired wrong. Now, I don't know a lot, because I'm not a professional. This is just stuff that I've come to understand about this illness, and something that people need to understand, is when you're confronted with somebody like this lady that I'm going to play this video that's on YouTube, or at least part of it. When you're confronted with this kind of illness, that the knee-jerk reaction is to laugh and or be afraid because this person is scary. People who are this far gone in an illness are scary and very, they're unpleasant to deal with. They put you on edge. They'll stress you out. But it's an illness. They don't know they're ill. They're really genuinely confused and afraid and frustrated. This woman in this video talks about the phone ringing constantly and not being able to sleep. My first reaction listening to this video was, she's exaggerating. But then I remembered my mother. She's talking like there's police on the phone listening to the call. She hears a click that nobody else hears except her. She at one point refers to somebody talking to her as, they want me to calm down. They meaning her voices. When I heard her say that, that's when it clicked in my brain. This woman has either schizophrenia or she's got some kind of delusional dementia that has the same symptoms or very similar symptoms as what my mom has. And when I realized that this woman is very abusive to this young man on the phone, but I'm trying to imagine, this is all I'm asking people who watch this video and listen to this woman. Try to imagine you're in her shoes. Try to imagine that everything she says she believes 100%, and that she is unable to sleep at nights because she hears the phone ringing. And who knows what she hears when she picks up the phone? Who knows what kind of people she hears, what the voices say to her? I am very sure that this person is not faking this because it's too much like my mother. But just try to imagine. It's very hard to imagine how hurtful and destructive a serious mental illness is. You want to laugh. You want to say, oh, ha, 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 But if you try to imagine you are her, and that everything else, your world is completely normal, and everything else is not. And people are out to get you, and the phone doesn't stop ringing, and people that she picks up the phone, they're abusive to her. Who the hell knows what she's really getting when she picks up the phone? My mom didn't even need to pick up the phone. My mom was firmly convinced that she could talk to somebody and they would hear her. She would have full conversations with me and then get mad at me when I went to visit her because I didn't bring what she told me to bring her, because she had talked to me and she was convinced that she had something in her head, this device that only rich people can afford, that allowed her to talk to people. I mean, seriously, my mom had this. She even had a name for this machine. I can't remember it now, but okay, so this is enough of an intro. I want to play this, and I know what the initial reaction will be because I had the same initial reaction, but try really, really hard to be in this woman's position. Imagine if your world was different than the real world and you 100% believed that your world was real. And to the credit of this young man, he handles this person very, very well. I don't know if he has dealt with mental illness himself personally, but he does it toward the end. You can tell he's it's hard to deal with somebody that's this ill. But the one thing I had to learn the hard way with my mother and anybody who has schizophrenia, if you know anybody who has schizophrenia, you can't talk them out of the delusion. You cannot argue with them. You cannot tell them that they're wrong. You cannot try to reason with them. There's absolutely nothing you can do to change what they believe. All you can do is exactly what this young man did. So, if you're interested in learning how to deal with somebody who's got schizophrenia or this particular type of symptom. Listen to how this young man handles it. He stays very calm. He actually agrees with her. Well, that's how it comes across to me. He mostly through this call sounds like he is not disagreeing with her. He's accepting what she says to him. And that is really the only way to deal. And she does actually calm down a little bit. She doesn't completely calm down, but she does start coming. That's another thing about these illnesses. He might have called her at night, and I don't know about dementia, but with schizophrenia, there's a phenomenon called sundowning. My mom is much better in the mornings and much more coherent than she is at night. And for all you know, this guy called this woman, in the evening. Anyway, so I just, rather than listen to the crazy old lady, which is what this thing is, listen to this woman who suffers from a very horrible illness that has probably cost her every last friend she has, probably has made it impossible for her to function in her normal life, in her normal capacity, probably has made her fearful of every sound she hears, fearful for her life. Okay? So here's the video. I'm not gonna, there's really no, there's just this picture of this person, probably not even the person that's talking, so I'm just gonna let you listen to it.
And so I need to talk to your lawyer. I just called my lawyer.
What state are you from, ma'am?
It doesn't make any difference. You don't get to ask me any questions. I was just abused. I can call you any swear name. I need your first and last name. And believe me, there are consequences. It was to the point where I actually had an appendix rupture because of telemarketing calls. But it doesn't matter what state it is illegal. You're arrested. You're a hate or her life destroyer. I need your first and last name. The police are listening.
Okay, my name's Alex.
What's your last name?
I don't get my last name.
You called my house, Alex. Then let me talk to your supervisor. The police are ready.
Okay, I actually am a supervisor here. I can help you.
You broke a law. You did a felony harassment. You called my number. I used to be an EMT. People died because my answering machine was full. You don't have to get your last name, Alex.
I just have to point out, she says she used to be an EMT and people died because her answering machine was full. This is something that I would highly doubt to be actually true. EMTs who have answering machines but this is the first clue I had that this woman is living in a different world.
Not if I don't want to.
You son of a motherfucker! Okay, so what?
Are the police really listening in on this?
What?
Are the police really?
So they want me to get you. You bet. Wait, you can hear it in a minute. You can hear the click. You guys? I heard a click.
Okay.
Okay? You call people's houses?
And by the way, we fully abide by the do not call list rules.
We are all on it. You cannot call anybody. And what are you talking about? But you sick. Okay, Alice, I need to know what is your tax number?
Yeah,
And wait, Alice,
There's another clue. This is not a stupid person. She asks him for his tax number. It's very common, from what I understand, of illnesses like schizophrenia to be more susceptible to, or I should say more highly intelligent people are more susceptible to illnesses like schizophrenia. I don't know if anybody here is watching this has seen Beautiful Mind, but that gentleman had schizophrenia. His son had schizophrenia. My mother's very intelligent. This woman, I have no idea what she is, but the fact that she refers to a tax number kind of clues me in that this is somebody who obviously worked either in insurance or some profession dealing with licensing of providers, or perhaps she worked in the medical profession in some capacity. So we're not dealing with a stupid person here. We're dealing with somebody who has very likely a high intellect and a diseased brain.
What we do, the organization I'm a part of, I know 3 people have died, literally. We will find out who all your female relatives are, and they will never ever be off any list. Do you understand? We will find out who, like Alex is. We did that. Call us your female relatives. And then we will go to your teachers. Your taxes will be audited every single year for the rest of your life. It will not even be a smidgen of the pain that you caused by your telemarketing. You nasty son of a bitch. You are a murderer. You're a hater. You're a life destroyer. If every telemarketer could call every number, there could not be private phone calls. People die. People have hernias that rupture. People's appendixes. People cannot call their ambulances. You are worse than any terrorist. And we will find out. I will go to my lawyer, the police. I think he walked outside. We will find out you and your family, and you will be on every telemarketing list in the world.
That sounds like
You'll be on your phone will never stop ringing. Your taxes will be audited, and your children's teachers will know what you have done.
Are you sure?
You are a life destroyer. You are a terrorist. You are a murderer. You are a life destroyer. You are a nasty human being.
It's hard for me to listen to this because this is the kind of crap my mom dished at me. She was never this abusive to me. And in some ways she was worse than this to me. Because this woman doesn't know this young man she's destroying, or she's trying very hard to destroy. But when it's somebody that is supposed to love you, and they're talking like, they know your every insecurity, and they know everything they know what to say that hurts, let's just say. So this is, if I seem like this is hard to listen to, it's hard to listen to. But I really think that, and I think it's wrong that this was put on on YouTube the way it was, because it's presenting this like it's a joke. Telemarketer call crazy old lady. Like maybe whoever put this up was thinking people would find it funny. Maybe if you don't have familiarity with schizophrenia or somebody who's seriously ill, but maybe one day you will. And it's all it takes. It's all it takes is to have one person that you know and care about and watch them completely get wiped out, because it's what happens. The person that you knew might as well be dead. The person that you respected and admired and looked up to, and they're not there anymore. They might as well be dead. You get to watch that person that you love die, but they're still walking around. It destroys their life. It destroys the lives of anybody that they love or that loves them. It's a hideous thing. Mental illness people should not laugh at people who are mentally ill. It's a horrible, horrible thing. It kills people. It destroys their life. And again, I have to point out how calm Alex is in this video, in this call. He's handling it very well. I would have hung up on her a long time ago, and that's what he should have done. But in fact, I think he keeps her going because maybe, I don't know, he was going to keep this call somehow, which is obviously somebody kept this call, but he keeps his voice calm, which is very impressive considering her level of hysteria.
Deserve every pain known to man. If we find out your last name, there'll be charges brought. Do you understand? Every year for the rest of your life, you and your family's taxes will be audited.
That sounds like a threat to me.
This is a threat, because they're calling my number that's blocked.
In which case, I'm happy
That is a felony. That is a felony. My house has been broken into. Yeah, it's a threat. It's a legal threat compared to what you've done to us. That we will have your taxes audited. You're a lying, cruel, You're a lying, cruel criminal.
Okay.
And that all of your family will be on every call. Isn't it interesting you consider that a threat?
I don't. This doesn't really bother me. I'm already.
Okay, they will never ever sleep before we got our thinking off our phone rang every 10 or 15 minutes all night. And
Every 10 or 15 minutes all night. She's referring to we a lot, which makes me feel like she's not alone. I highly suspect that she is talking about imaginary people when she says we. And the 10 or 15 minutes all night phone calls, I highly doubt she's exaggerating. My mother doesn't hear sounds, but she sees rats. She sees rats. She's afraid to get out of bed because she sees rats. She'll stay in bed until like 1 o'clock in the afternoon because she's afraid of the rats. I gave her a white robe for Christmas. A couple months later, the people at the home that's caring for her asked me if I wanted the robe back because she screams when she sees the robe because it's crawling with rats, which is kind of funny that something that I gave her would be infested with rats, but that just kind of goes to show how my mom has looked at me her whole life. So anyway, my point is this woman is talking like she's been extremely hurt and abused and attacked, and I don't doubt that she has, but I think that the people who have attacked her and have called her every 10 to 15 minutes are imaginary, just like my mother's rats.
And that was just in 3 states. Now, your family, any of them, if we find, will never, ever be able to have a normal listed phone number, ever.
Okay.
That's okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any grandmother?
Sure.
They will never, ever be able to have a normal phone number. That's okay with you?
Yeah.
Your parents don't get called every 5 or 10 minutes, every 24 hours a day?
I already do.
And you think that's okay?
It doesn't bother me now.
So then you're an abuser. Okay, so you don't. So do you ignore it? What do your children do?
No, if I hear the pause from the predictive dialer, I would just hang up if I don't feel like that.
So you cannot have. What if you're eating dinner or going to the bathroom? You have to get up, or do you take the phone to the table so you hear the pause and hang up?
You know, if I wasn't able to get to the phone, I'd just let it ring, and if it's important, they'll...
So your family lets the phone ring the whole time? You son of a bitch! What an abusive... So you never have conversations, you never listen to music, you never watch movies, you never talk, because the phone is ringing all the time? You're lying, you son of a bitch!
Okay.
You are a hater!
He said, okay. That's what I'm saying. That's the right response.
I like to say you son of a bitch, son of a bitch. So are you saying now, I'm getting a calm down. So you're...
I'm getting a calm down. This is what I'm saying. She's got voices talking to her.
saying that if where you live, the phone never stops ringing, and that's okay with you? Because that is one reason we can have social services go to your home.
I hope they play this tape in court someday, ma'am.
Are you... It won't go to court, but it will go to your superiors. And we certainly are calling and asking about any Alex. And if you're laughing, we have a list here. If you don't know this date, that is odd. I am very blocked. We have a list here of deaths because of calls. Okay?
I would think you'd have a hard time proving that, but okay.
That wasn't the right answer to say, because he's telling her she's wrong, and that's not what you say to somebody who's got delusions. You just, he could have if he really actually wanted to try to talk her down, he would not have disagreed with one single thing that she said, and he would have apologized. I don't know. He would have been whatever the hell she accused him of being, and I mean, but I'm sure he. How do you know? I mean, it took me, and I still have trouble with my mother dealing with this. It's hard to do everything right when you're dealing with somebody who's off their rocker, and unfortunately that's the way they are because of the illness. It's just like having chest pain when you have angina, or a really bad headache when you have a migraine. She is displaying symptoms of an illness. Now, like I said, I don't know for sure because I'm not a professional, and maybe it isn't schizophrenia. She's talking just like my mother, and my mom has paranoid schizophrenia. But who knows what? She's clearly got some kind of mental illness, and what this is her illness talking. This is somebody who's been afflicted by a medical illness that just happens to be in her brain, and it's destroyed her just as surely as any cancer would destroy somebody.
Oh, I'm going to say that have already been called. I mean, that have already gone to court. People who have died. People who could not get to ambulances. People who had miscarriages. People who could not dial 911.
You hear the emotion in her voice? She's practically crying about this. She truly believes what she's talking about.
People who could not sleep all night because of the calls. In our state, we take them to court, you bet. And you're laughing? So you're saying your phone never stops ringing, and your family doesn't care?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, your wife will leave you, believe me.
I'm not married.
But you have, so what was this about the children don't care?
What's that?
So you're there with your children, you were lying about that?
I never said I had children.
I said that you have a family, and you said yes, and you're scared that the phone rings every time. We just don't answer it.
Everybody has a family, ma'am. I mean, there's not just the
So
children.
you laughed at me and ridiculed me?
I'm not laughing at you, ma'am.
You said, I'd like to hear this played back in court. I'm supposed to say, I'm actually supposed to get your last name and call the police. You don't ever call a human being. And so if we had to call and block every number, then we would have to do that every 10 minutes. You are sick. You are a terrorist.
Okay.
You are a rapist. You are
A rapist? That's a pretty harsh accusation.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding what you are doing? I have a girlfriend who was gang raped. Who said that her telemarketing calls me actually moved. It's much worse. It's much more of an invasion and more permanent pain, more life destruction, more...
She's comparing telemarketing phone calls to being raped, saying that the pain is much worse than being raped. If there's any doubt that this woman is not mentally well, that would dispel any doubt at this point.
Permanent life destruction, home destruction, life destruction. We cannot win. Yes, are you kidding me? You don't compare yourself with rape? Here in the state, and I'm afraid to give this state like this, and when it went to court, it was compared to the level of abuse where the person is unconscious and permanently damaged. It was compared to that level of physical abuse, and that brought it up to a first-class felony. You sick SOB. And you're laughing at me? No, that was in our legislature.
This is all bullshit. This is all stuff she believes, but it's bullshit. My mom was, before she went on medication, had a guy named John. I'm trying to remember his last name. She had a guy that she met on an airplane, and keep thinking it's Lassiter, but that's not it. Rich guy, of course. And anyway, long story short, she invited all her real friends that she knows all the way to Wenatchee to a wedding at the U Press Church in Seattle. And the church, actually there were like 3 or 4 different weddings, and they were every one of them didn't work out because of one reason or another. And after I didn't really ever believe it, but after the first time, she had people from Wenatchee come all the way out here, which is like, for people who don't know Washington State, that's like, I'm thinking 200 miles maybe-ish. But yeah, she had a designer making her dress, and she had this guy, I asked her for pictures, and she thought she was a multimillionaire. But the thing is, one of the reasons why the wedding didn't happen was because John had been kidnapped, and he was a spy, and he had been caught, and he had heart trouble, and he was in the hospital, and he's being held against his will. This is the kind of stuff my mother came up with. The fact that she had money in safety deposit boxes all over the world, and I got to be accused many times of taking all her money from her. And anyway, the point is, this totally far-fetched stuff about courts and people dying and rape being compared with telemarketing calls. In her world, this is all stuff. This is all true. She's done this. My mom told me, because I was in theater for a while, my mom told me she was being cast in a play at her church, and she was the only novice in the whole thing. Everybody else were famous actors, but because her pastor and she were on such good terms, he recommended